On 28th of March, my house was raided by more than 50 security persons. Most of them were masked, and all of them were armed with shotguns, with sticks, black sticks, wooden sticks, guns, and they broke the outer door and the inner door of my house, and they just entered my house, looking through every room in it. Then they reached my room upstairs after they went through all my kids' room and shouting them and facing guns to them. Then when they reached my room, I was sleeping that night, deeply sleeping because I was on medication, and I just took my medications to sleep. What I remember that night is just one person who was masked with his gun. He was just taking me out of my bed in this way and pointing the gun to my head, and he was telling me that, "Don't be afraid, we are police." At the beginning, I didn't know what's going on. So I was just looking around in my room, and I just recognized that something wrong is there because I saw my husband to one side, and he was surrounded by more than 6 pairs of the security person. Then I just shouted at him, "Please give me something to cover myself up." Because as you know, it was nighttime, and I was in my bed. So I was in my night dress. This was the first violation to happen to me, as they broke out everything in my home, as they scared my kids, me down without letting me even to change my clothes. I just wore my abaya, and I just go with them. When I reached down, of course, I didn't ask for anything because my hole, as you see, it's a very big hole. It was full of these armed people, masked people, most of them in civilian dresses, but they were a lot with uniforms, which were military, Ministry of Interiors, I don't know, so many different dresses. Then they took me out. There was a bus outside there, and there was a helicopter in front of my house. The street in front of my house was full of cars. More than 12 cars were there from the beginning till the end of the street. They just took me to the bus and said me, "Just enter." They took so many things from my house, which they think they might need. And I remember that night, the thing I have said to my husband before just entering the bus, "Please take care of my kids, because I don't know what I'm going to face, and I don't know what will happen." Maybe this was the last time for me to see my husband and my kids. By the way, they didn't let me to say even bye to my kids that day. Throughout the period that I was in the CID, that was more than 10 days, most of these days, most of them, and I mean it, most of them, I was standing facing the wall, no sleeping, even with no food, no water. I was not allowed to go to toilet. I was not allowed to pray. Even when I was asking them, and I was asking me hardly that I need to pray, I need to go to toilet, he said, "No, there is an order that you don't do this." Even though I was asking, what's kind of order that will let me not to pray? Aren't you Muslims? They just laugh, and everything will come to its normal. As I told you from the beginning, I'm on medications. So from the second day, my BP was very high, so they called my family to bring my medications. But they didn't give it to me. They just kept them with them. And after they started interrogation with me, and after I have felt more than twice, yes, then and only then, they gave it to me, the medication. So I think this was kind of torture to me, because if you are sick and you are not taking your medications, a lot of things might happen to you. So what happens to me really there in CID, I was slightly beaten, but I was standing for the whole 10 days and nights. No toilet, as I said, no water, no food. Sometimes they bring food, but they bring it like what? They bring it in, I don't know, in a very dirty thing, which was full of hair and dust, and they were asking me or forcing me to eat it. Of course, I didn't eat anything of that, and I take what they do after that. After 44 days exactly from I was detained, they took me to for another interrogation, but I don't know because they never told us that we were where they are going to take us. They took me to the BDF, and there they told me this is the military prosecutor, and you have to answer all of this. Of course, during all the interrogations, I asked for a lawyer, but they were just laughing at me. Isa Majali was saying to me, lawyer, who do you think yourself as? It's just us, we and you, nobody else, and you have to answer what we want to. In BDF, a guy called Mish'al, he was Mish'al Mannai, who interrogated me. He was questioning me. I asked him for my lawyer. He told me that we have told your lawyer and he will be in. But if he didn't come, we will have to start our interrogation because that means that he didn't want to come. This kind of thing gave me the feeling that they didn't call him. So we just went into the interrogation, and that day they took me from 2:30 noontime till 3:30 early morning after the morning prayer. The whole 13 hours I was questioned in the question room, in the military prosecution. All of them, of course, were from BDF. They were wearing their suits and this kind of things. I was alone with them, all of them. I don't know. This was the worst I have gone through, because even in the CID when I was questioned, there was some periods that I was very sick, and during that, so they will stop the interrogation for a while. But in the military prosecutor, it was continuous. They were also shouting at me all the time and insulting me, my family, my religion, so many things. Mahdi Abu Deeb, when he was released, when he was arrested, he was thrown from the first floor to the ground. And after he was thrown, he was beating hardly. Even the blood were everywhere because of that. While they were beating him, and after throwing him from the roof, they blindfolded him and they handcuffed him from back and just continued kicking him and beating him badly. What he faced inside, no one have faced, even the politicians. He was for around exactly 64 days he was in a solitary confinement, which was never happened to anyone else, even the politicians who were with him. And they were released. They were talking about how bad Mahdi Abu Deeb was tortured inside in a different way than he was every night taken to a beating ceremony, let me say that, until he fall down, and then he will be taken back to cell. This was for more than 64 days. And his colleagues were in front of him. There were the lawyer Mohammed Tajor and the politician of Full Wafaq Party, Jawad Fayrouz and Matar Matar. They are witness on this kind of thing, how badly Mahdi Abu Deeb was tortured. He is not a politician. He is just the BTA leader. It's important also to say that for us in Bahrain Teachers Association, we have done nothing wrong according to the international law. We have done only our work. And all the statements which we released were just an opinion. So we are an opinion prisoners. If I talked about what happens to teacher, Ministry of Education have gone through this and still going on. punishing teachers for practicing their rights and speaking out their opinions. They started it. I was the first one to be taken to interrogation in the Ministry of Education, but I didn't continue with that because I was arrested. So it continues with other teachers. So many bad things have been done to teachers. I will just give you an example of that. For example, there is a bus from Ministry of Interior goes to school. They call it that time here in Bahrain picnic bus. Why it was called like that? Because it will just go around the schools and pick teachers, pick principals, pick students, and they will take them to, as a group, to be interrogated in any stations or even the CID as they want to. Inside the bus, what happens is students are asked to beat their teachers, or teachers, they were asked to sit on their students and beat them. So many things have been done. Even teachers, when they were arrested from inside the classroom. I get some testimonies from teachers that their students were asked to beat them in front of the students and in front of the school principal. Just stand. They will let the teacher to stand and the student to beat him in front of everybody. Students also were allowed to march inside the schools, and when the principal is not okay with that, they will just open the doors for them and let them go out on the street. And when I hear that, I said, what kind of security, this kind of things happen to our kids? They are letting them out of the schools and never let them back in the school. They will just lock the door in front of them. They leave them out of school, so the police will come to them, the riot police will come to them and beat them or arrest them or whatever they have to do with them. So the principal, it's not my case, they are out of the school. Some of the cases that the principal just gathered the students who think they were marching or they're telling songs inside the school in the sport hallway, and they will let the police to beat them there inside the school. Teachers were, more than 4,000 teachers were taken for interrogations, and this was not mentioned in the senior report at all. Teachers were dismissed. A lot of teachers were suspended. Until now, they are suspended. Every 10 days, they suspend a new teachers. It's like a circle, which goes to all Shia teachers. Everyone will be suspended for 10 days. It's circular, and every day there is a new list for new teachers who have to be, because Ministry of Education cannot withstand to punish all teachers at the same time, because the school will be empty that time. So it's just cutting them in pieces every time she is punishing some of the teachers. And still, till now, and just last Thursday, 30 teachers were suspended for 10 days. So I think this UNI report gave Ministry of Education the innocency, since he didn't accuse them for anything, he didn't ask them for anything, and he just let their hands up to do whatever they want to do with teachers, because not even a single accusation to them. It was just written that that Ministry of Education have dismissed her workers because of hateness. خليني أحطها الكلمة الصح. That was written because I have read it in Arabic. And because of exercising their rights, and this shouldn't be done. This is the only statement was there in Basuni report about teachers. And I really wonder, how come he just closed his eyes about all what's happening in the education sectors? Thousands of teachers are being arrested and was arrested. Even if some of them were only for hours, but they were tortured badly and beaten badly for that, just to take their confessions. And it was not written in the Basuni report, even though I'm sure because I know a lot of teachers who went to him and registered their testimonies, but it was not there in the report. Or what was there in the report, it's something written about me, and it was very, very little thing. It's not the whole truth, just little of it, and some about, and also two paragraphs about Mahdi Abu Dib also. Just that, nothing else. Not what happened to students, not what happened to teachers, not what happened to specialists. A lot of specialists in Ministry of Education have been lowered, and they were sent back to schools as teachers, whereas before they were training teachers. Now they are just teachers because they are Shia. This is the fact.